CRM and human factors related courses with the main goal of creating reflection via eye-opening and thought-provoking contents. Together, Anne and Jesper have been in the aviation business for more than 40 years, with experience as cabin crew members, senior cabin crew members, pilot, ground and simulator instructors. Anne has been in the aviation industry since 1987, working as a cabin attendant as well as later a pilot and simulator instructor. She is now a retired airline captain working as a trainer with Primera Air. She is also the CEO of NaviMinds, a large player in the human factors market. Jesper is a certified psychotherapist and alongside NaviMinds has a position as cabin crew member at Jet Time. And I would like for you all to help me welcome Anne and Jesper.
Now, we will start by taking you into a flight deck, and this may strike you as art on a conference track aimed at cabin crew. Meanwhile, for our purposes here, it's not. Just watch and listen, please. Especially pay attention to the atmosphere on the flight deck this early morning.
Camper receive gas. Check tank cleared. Oh yeah. I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, I see 7, but it's, yeah, there's a green extra one there. Camper receive gas check cleared. Who's the flight attendant checks flight? Alright, ready? All set. Trail leader, coming 121, ready to go.
Camera 191, that's been tower fly, runway heading clear takeoff.
Runway heading clear takeoff, 191. And line of check.
Eagle Flight 882, that heading work for you? Do you want to go northwest around the weather that's ahead of you? No, that looks fantastic, thank you very much. Where take in, please?
This is heading where that back on.
Eagle Flight 882, contact 87126.37, cadet.
2637. Transpose on, packs on, bleeds closed, clear for takeoff, runway heading 6 good. Alright. Any soft flight set ticket fix okay, line checks clear. All yours, Jim. I'll raise my control. Set doors, please. Cross set. It is weird with no lights. Yeah. $100 knots. Checks. We want to rotate. Whoa! Fuck! Fuck! Oh!
Yeah. I think we can all agree that this was a horrible scenario, one that all of us dread. 47 passengers were killed, and in fact the only survivor was the first officer. Now, I'd like you to take a few seconds to think about the atmosphere in the cockpit. And I'll ask all of you, actually, how would you describe the atmosphere in the cockpit? Anyone with an idea?
Very casual.
Casual is one word that comes up.
Maybe I thought it calm, almost lazy.
Sorry, calm?
Calm, almost lazy.
Almost lazy.
Relaxed.
Relaxed is another word that comes up.
Disengaged.
Disengaged. Okay, thank you. So it seems that what I get up here, words are lazy, relaxed, disengaged. And it seems that most will characterize it like that. Relaxed is a word that very often comes up, perhaps even too relaxed. We may even go as far as to call it complacent. The NTSB concluded that both pilots failed to confirm their position, talked too much, violated sterile cockpit procedures, and conceivably, this relaxed atmosphere may have led the pilots to miss the important clues available to them, impacting on their overall situational awareness. I'd like to take you through 5 levels of situational awareness. They are referred to as tuned out, relaxed awareness, focused awareness, high alert, and comatose. Now, the tuned out level of awareness is a level at which we are very relaxed. We might have the radio on at full blast. We're tuned out of the reality and of the cues around us, tuned into our own inner world, with miles ahead of us on this deserted highway. Relaxed awareness. Most drivers would feel relatively relaxed in a situation like this. Although the situation requires us to step up and pay more attention, we can still continue having a conversation or even sing along to our favorite tune on the radio. Now, even for someone used to driving in snowy weather, these roads conditions would make most step up even further in situational awareness, ready to react to a sudden skidding of the car. Although we can still converse, we may keep conversation to a minimum. We may even turn off the radio to avoid distraction. The next level of situational awareness is called high alert, and it's illustrated by a very brief video clip coming here.
Only 20 past square right. 5 left here, only 20 down to a fast turn square right.
Coming now. Right, wait now. 5 left, 60 after, stay middle of a crest, jump flat over the finish. Flat, come on. Mr. Kelly.
Yeah. At this high alert stage, the task at hand demands all of our mental resources. We tune so much into a certain aspect that we're now unable to have a conversation. And although the car radio is still playing loudly, we do not sense the music. The last stage is called comatose. Comatose is where momentarily we lose access to the rational mind. As a result, all over, situational awareness is lost. Sound decision-making goes out of the window. It is a return to basic survival instinct, and the fight, flight, and freeze mode is activated. This is also the possible consequence of a startle response. Let's just try to link these stages of situational awareness to the well-known Yerkes-Dodson stress curve. Looks like this. Clearly the comatose stage is quite self-explanatory. It's placed to the far right of the curve here. And we've asked many students where they would place the remaining 4 stages of situational awareness. And the responses that we often hear are these. We've asked our students which of these 5 levels would best prepare them to deal with a startling event. And here's what we most often hear. The focused awareness. And this might be true, but it's important to remember that being at the focused awareness is extremely draining on your mental capacity, and there is a limit to how long we should stay there. At the tuned out stage, our adrenaline levels are relatively low. When something startling happens, there is a risk that the body will overcompensate for lack of adrenaline by overproducing, taking us straight over the edge of the curve. At the high alert stage, adrenaline levels are already high, and one can easily imagine how just a little more can take us into comatose. According to research published in Stratfor magazine, the relaxed awareness stage is the one that best prepares us to deal with a variety of unexpected critical events, or at least moving between relaxed and focused awareness. This knowledge is useful for stressing the importance of proper briefings and our silent reviews before takeoff and landing.
Right, we would like to stick with situational awareness for just a little bit longer. And there is another little video clip here, so Sorry if I startled you. I saw some bodies jerking slightly there. But luckily I see that you're laughing now, and that means that you've realized there is no immediate danger, so it quickly fades away. But this is a startle effect created by a sudden, surprising event, which is mostly related to oral, but also to visual stimuli. And it's triggered in as little as 14 milliseconds. And as we've already heard, apart from raising our heart rhythm, it opens our eyes up wide, connects our muscles, preparing them to run or fight. The problem here is that momentarily it completely overrides our ability to think. Although perhaps only for a few seconds, this is enough time to react in a highly undesirable way. Let's just show the exact same video clip again. I promise you it will be exactly the same with no changes. But this time, I'd like you to please pay attention to your bodily response, to try and focus on the response you get in your body, although you've seen it before. How many of you got some kind of reaction the second time round? Yeah, it's funny how, although we expect it and we know it's going to happen, it still frightens us. How many experienced a less intense reaction the second time? Get quite a few hands there. Well, I think that proves an important point. I could clearly see that your reaction was less intense. And what we've actually done between the first and the second viewing is resilience development. You expected the ghost to appear, you anticipated it, and that helped lessen the effect of the startle. Anticipate, expect the unexpected. Stepping up in situational awareness level helps lessen the intensity of a possible startle. We would like you to help us participate in a small exercise here. What will happen in just half a minute is that I will display a text up here, brief text in English. We would like you to read it out aloud and read it slowly. So whilst it's displayed, please read slowly aloud and try to focus on your own reading rather than the person sitting next to you. And while you're reading this aloud slowly, we'd like you to tap your knuckles on the table like this. All right? I'll just show you the text. Right, you can read quicker. Read quicker now. Read quicker. And very quickly reading here. Yeah. I don't know if you paid attention to your hand, but for most people, the movement of the hand will automatically increase in speed as your reading speed increases or your mental processing increases. The point that we would like to make here is that although we have one brain, a separate heart, separate muscles and separate limbs, our bodies are one big system. All components operate together. They're connected, meaning that if we are aroused or stressed, we're likely to move quicker, speak quicker, and breathe quicker. It happens automatically as hormonal production increases. And when you're focused on reading, the rest of your body will adjust to follow and support you. We'd like to introduce a small quiz here. In a few moments, I'll show a picture of a beautiful lady up here on the screen. As you look at that painting and all its details, the colors and the jewelry, the hair, the clothing, we'd like you to just think about when you think this lady was first portrayed. Was it in 1900, 1910, or was it in 1920? So I'll just let you see the photo here. Sorry if I startle you again. But quite honestly, I thought we just developed your resilience when we showed you the video clip with the car. The previous example with the car driving behind the trees clearly illustrates that our brains start to recognize the situation as one that causes no concern. And therefore, the startle becomes much less pronounced the more we see it. A weak spot to this is that in order to train the brain to train a specific situation to become known and recognizable to the brain, it requires more than just one go at it. It actually requires repetitive tries before the brain can store this situation with a label that says, hey, I know this, I know how to deal with this. Another weak spot: if we train a specific situation enough times to make sure that crews would react correctly or desirably to a situation, it really doesn't take a lot of change to that situation before it's no longer immediately recognizable to the brain. So it seems that we've trained the brain's recognition of a specific situation, the sounds, the environment, the visual input associated, and not the startle effect. So now what? Is it at all possible to train the brain's response to a startling event? Instantaneous response to a surprise attack is crucial in martial arts and police defensive training. Judo and karate practitioners are trained to switch quickly into specific fighting positions. Many law enforcement officers in the United States instantly draw their guns when startled. So it appears that specific movement can be trained to automatically couple to a startle. In martial arts, a programmed response to a crisis may not be ideal, as a combatant can be surprised in many different ways during an ambush. So instead, some trainers suggest that the startle can be inhibited through a different type of training. Paul Ekman, a pioneer in the study of emotions and their relations to facial expressions, tested the startle of a Tibetan monk. The test sound used was loud, just below the threshold for human tolerance. Police personnel who fired guns routinely were unable to prevent themselves from flinching when the sound was triggered. Yet, when the startle effect was tested for the facial expressions of the monk, not a single muscle on the man's face had flinched. This indicates that startle itself can be inhibited by training, even though it's triggered by activity in the brain stem. In my training and work as a psychotherapist in emotion-focused therapy, I work with people who want to learn to deal with unpleasant emotions that keep disrupting their lives. One of the cornerstones in this evidence-based kind of therapy is that we cannot change emotion with reason. Rather, emotion can only be changed by replacing an emotion with another. In its essence, the startle is a sudden emotional state which in turn creates a reaction, again, unaccompanied by thought. Firstly, based on the research of Leslie Greenberg and Ekman and others, we would argue that effective training of startle in itself has got nothing to do with training specific scenarios. And although that we agree that knowledge about the startle is extremely useful, we question how much help knowledge will be to us if and when startled. We suggest that training must be directed to deal with the emotional response caused by a startle. So, it appears that timing is critical. As trainers, we must intervene just that split second when the startle is triggered. But how do we intervene? If we go back to reflecting on the small reading experiment we took you through, we could clearly see that although we have a separate heart, muscles, limbs, brain, all components are connected, playing together like a carefully orchestrated masterpiece. Strong emotions will cause us to breathe quicker, speak quicker, move quicker, tighten our muscles. And all of these components all react and reinforce one another to optimum functioning. By, for instance, asking the crew member to adjust one of these components, for example, breathe slowly, speech and movement will follow and slow down with it. By asking the startled individual or telling them to breathe with me now, focus on relaxing your muscles, we can help slow the impact of the emotional response and the impact on rational thought. By asking, tell me what you experienced, tell me what it feels like, what do you see, will help re-engage the rational brain. This may seem like a strange and somewhat controversial approach. It is not. It makes sense, and apart from extensive research in the field of brain studies that suggests we can develop connections and enhance connections between emotion and rational parts of the brain, then it makes sense that we must know how it feels to be startled. We must be able to recognize the bodily symptoms. We can move in that direction by helping the individual regain conscious attention and directing it to the core, arriving at the emotional state. In other words, we don't think you can consciously leave a place until you've consciously arrived. Thank you.